Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I had recorded a previous version of this video, as you can tell by the title. It was recorded right after watching the trailer for the Evan Hansen movie, the Dear Evan Hansen movie, and I'm a huge Dear Evan Hansen fan, so I was very excited to watch the trailer, and then I saw the trailer, and then I needed to rant. But probably not the best time to record the video because I hadn't sort of thought through all my thoughts, and I just came across as a little angry, which, you know, is not necessarily the case. I'm very excited to see the movie. I just want to say, and then Ben Platt himself has come forward and said several things which I kind of thought like, I should have reacted to those in my video, and I didn't know he was going to say those things. I think it's probably for the best if he didn't, frankly. But anyway, so let's get on with it. In case you are not even slightly familiar with Dear Evan Hansen, it is a Broadway musical, and the reason why I like it so much is because it's not your typical Broadway musical style of pizzazz, you know? It's not, I've never done that in my life, and I don't think I ever will again. Broadway musicals are usually like all razzle-dazzle and like big dance numbers and things. There's like one dance number, and even that is sort of like a parody of a dance number. It's not even a real dance number. It's a very different musical. Not that I dislike musicals, I'm not a fan of the super stereotypical musical. You know, he says, thinking about the fact that before Dear Evan Hansen, my favorite musical was Wicked, which is a very stereotypical musical, sort of. Even that's got some quirks to it. But anyways, the point is, I really liked Dear Evan Hansen because the music style was entirely different than anything else I'd heard as far as a musical goes. It's not your typical Broadway musical sound. It's more like alternative rock, I guess, or folk rock. And then also the story is a lot more real, I feel. It's not like this big crazy like Les Miserables, like whole society of France, you know, rallying for a revolution or anything. It's about one kid, Evan Hansen, basically, and, you know, some lies that he tells and the consequences of those lies, and they're pretty freaking huge lies that, you know, can devastate a family. I really, 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 really like the musical, and, you know, I have heard the Broadway soundtrack 5 bazillion times. I have seen it when it's come to Portland. I've seen how shall we say, I believe they're called slime tutorials, recordings of various performers, each performer who's played Evan Hansen officially on Broadway I have seen in a less than legal manner, which is very frustrating because I actually went to look to see if you can still watch those, and they're not on YouTube anymore, so YouTube caught on. I have seen every single performer who's played Evan Hansen officially on Broadway, including one individual who I think technically wasn't an official Evan Hansen, but was just sort of slid in there because they made a big deal about the fact that Jordan Fisher was the first black Evan Hansen, and it's like, that's not true. What about, I forgot his name, but he was really, really good. What about him? Ray starts with an R. Ramo? I don't know. He was really, really good, but I guess he wasn't official. He was just kind of like tossed in there out of nowhere. I got a lot of opinions about Evan Hansen because I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of it. So when I heard that they were going to make a movie of it, I was like, this is the perfect musical to adapt into a movie. Usually my issue with musical adaptations to movies are things like Into the Woods, where it's like a musical meant to be on a stage. To adapt that into a movie is like tricky because it doesn't come off supernatural when people just start singing, whereas that does completely come natural on a stage. I'm also very concerned when they get around to filming Wicked, how the heck that's going to turn out. Evan Hansen is perfect because it is so real and gritty and so not a typical musical. And including the music itself is not very musical, but the performances are specifically rooted much more in reality than your typical Broadway musical, where the performances tend to be kind of like heightened to above a 10 sometimes, whereas Evan Hansen performances are very, there's not really, I can't even think of one, well, there's one character who's every single actress who's played this particular character, I feel like, goes a little too much. I had a lot of expectations, and then when I heard that they were going to cast Ben Platt, now, Ben Platt, in case you aren't familiar with him, he is the guy who originated the role of Evan Hansen, which means he was there from the very beginning. They cast him before they even had an actual sellable show. He was there through the workshopping process and all of that. That's what it means to originate a role. They cast you with whatever kind of script and songs they have. They fiddle around with those, workshop it, do a performance in some secret city, judge the audience reaction, which is usually like, ooh, you know, and then they are like, okay, that opening song did not work. Toss that out, write a brand new opening song, and that stuff happened to Evan Hansen. Tons of the songs got completely yanked out and replaced. Yes, he originated the role, good for him. But in my opinion, he is too old looking. Too old looking. The age doesn't matter. I don't care if he's... Even if he was 19 years old but looks the way he doesn't look 18, you know what I mean? So then people have been coming out and saying, yeah, but have you ever seen Grease? Those people look like they're in their 30s. Yeah, but Grease is 1 billion years old. Have you seen special effects from the 70s? We don't do those special effects anymore because they look bad. For the same reason why we don't cast 30-year-olds as teenagers, because it looks bad. Unless it's intentional. Unless it's meant to be funny or something. You know, like there's some famous movie or TV show where they intentionally have like this 30-year-old playing a teenager and everybody else is a teenager, and it's kind of amusing, like, oh, get a load of that. But that would not work with Evan Hansen, because you need to believe he's real, because it's not funny. I mean, it's a funny-ish show, but it's much more drama. So yeah, for the same reason why we don't really do that anymore. You watch shows like Stranger Things, those aren't 20-year-olds playing kids. You watch shows like Cruel Summer, those, well, I guess, what is his name? Froy Gutierrez is probably 20s, but it doesn't matter what the actual age of the actor is, it matters what they look like. And he looks like an 18-year-old, you know? So we just don't do that anymore. Even in Gilmore Girls, which was way back in the early 2000s, Rory Gilmore is played by Alexis Bledel, who was, I think, 19 at the time. So sure, her best friend Lane Kim was played by an actress who was in her 30s, but that's because her genetics were such that she looked like she was a teenager. If she looked like she was in her 30s, that would have been insane. That would have made no sense. So my point is, it doesn't matter that he's 27, and that's only 10 years more than Evan Hansen. He just looks not 17. And so the whole argument that, you know, it doesn't matter, it's just a movie, and he originated the role, none of those arguments work for me. They should have cast either a brand new, complete unknown, which would be best in my opinion. Casting like a big famous star, it's like, but I can't connect. I'm seeing, like, if they cast Justin Bieber or something insane like that, I'm looking at Evan Hansen, I'm seeing Justin Bieber, not Evan Hansen. So you kind of want a completely brand new person to be Evan Hansen, or if not, and if they really wanted to maximize on the star quality of Jordan Fisher's having quite a few years here, why not cast Jordan Fisher? He is the most recent Evan Hansen on Broadway. He is sure in 20s, maybe as old as Ben Platt, but he doesn't look it. He looks younger. He looks like he could be 18. Or Roman Banks, that's the guy whose name I was trying to think of earlier. Amazing, probably my favorite Evan Hansen. Amazing actor. Cast him. He looks age appropriate. Or the best, if you want to cast an Evan Hansen that's the closest to the age, that does a gosh darn good job, and maybe if he had been given more time could have been like one of the top Evan Hansens. Andrew Barth Feldman, who played him when he was actually the age that Evan Hansen actually is. I think they cast him when he was 17 or 16, but he was playing Evan Hansen, who was an 18-year-old when he was 18, and looked the part and acted the part, and sometimes his acting got a little over the top, but you can bring that back with a few more takes in a movie, you know? He's a fine Evan Hansen. He's not my favorite Evan Hansen, but he looks the part and he's the right age, and everything about him screams Evan Hansen to me. So you know, even Sam Tootie, all the way over there in England, playing Evan Hansen on the West End, looks more... Well, Sam Tootie's too pretty to play Evan Hansen. I don't even know what they were thinking over there. And frankly, Jordan Fisher's too pretty to play Evan Hansen. But my point is, there were better choices as far as getting the look right. Now, I know that the director of the movie has said many, many times, my primary objective was to capture Ben Platt's performance of Evan Hansen, because I can't even imagine anybody else as Evan Hansen. You can't even imagine? Go see Sam Tootie in England. Go see Jordan Fisher right now. Well, not right now because of the pandemic, but go see Jordan Fisher's performance. Like, what do you mean you can't imagine? There are plenty of options. You don't have to use your imagination. You can just see them and see that they're perfectly fine. Just because Ben Platt originated the role doesn't mean anything. It's frankly for the same reason why, and this is very controversial, but why the Rent movie did not work for me at all. Those characters in that movie are supposed to be their late teens or early 20s, and even when they were playing those characters on Broadway, they were not their late teens or early 20s and didn't look it. But then, what was it, 10 years later or something, when they filmed the movie with the original Broadway cast, and everybody was so excited because it's the original Broadway cast here in the movie, it's like now they look even less believable. Like, it made no sense. So in my opinion, that weird live version that they did for TV, much better, even though it was a horrible broken leg disaster and all that. And Jordan Fisher was in that, and he did a great job. So I feel like this version of the video is much more positive. I'm still very excited to see the movie, but not nearly as excited as I would be if they had cast somebody besides Ben Platt. I like Ben Platt as an actor. He's great in The Politician, one of my favorite shows, but even in the first season of The Politician, again, playing a high school kid, I was like, Ben Platt, you're a great actor, but you are no high school kid. I can tell. I have eyes. So, great actor, you know, attractive, sure, but not 18. He's just not. There's no way I could play an 18-year-old. I'd like to. I would love to play Evan Hansen. If, you know, I used to think that I wanted to be a Broadway actor way back when I was a teenager in high school, and if Evan Hansen existed back then, it would be my dream role. But now, that is physically impossible. I don't look like an 18-year-old, and sorry, Ben Platt, but you don't either. And that's okay. That's great. Play fathers. play roles where you're a dad or something. You're not playing a high school kid. You're playing the dad of a high school kid. So anyways, that's it for this video. I like this one much better, I think. I'm going to try to edit this one, and I think this one's good enough. So see you guys for the next video. Bye, guys.